So hi everyone, I'm Alex Tingle. I'm the product manager for ColdQuanta's cloud accessible quantum dynamics platform known as Albert. ColdQuanta spans contract research, private investment, partnerships, and commercial products and services. The technology is pretty broad. So I'm actually going to focus in on quantum dynamics, as this is where Albert lives. This is kind of a cheeky name for this segment, given that quantum dynamics affects everything in quantum technology. Really, I'm focusing on the dynamics part. This is where Albert lives. So if you are interested in cold atom quantum technology, you start with, you guessed it, cold atoms. Now, depending on what you do with these cold atoms is going to be different if you're building a clock or a computer or an Albert. And as I mentioned, Albert is a cloud accessible quantum platform, but it is not a quantum computer. While my colleagues in computing will use these cold atoms as qubits, Albert does something a little bit different. Albert actually takes these cold atoms even colder to just a hair above absolute zero. And at these temperatures, the atoms actually become a completely different state of matter, quantum matter, known as Bose-Einstein condensate or BEC. Then you can poke it, you can prod it, you can manipulate it, shape it, and image it. And we do that not because we are mean and hate atoms, but because we're curious as to what actually happens to the entire quantum matter state when you do this. So that's where the dynamics part comes in, is we want to know not just what happens to one or two atoms, but thousands or tens of thousands of atoms all at once. So this all happens in our lab in Boulder, Colorado. Here's our wonderful quantum engineer, Hannah Norse, pretending to adjust a wave plate for the Denver Post. Everything I just mentioned actually happens kind of hidden behind her on this other optics table. This is where we create and play with Bose-Einstein condensate. Now, I hope you can tell from this picture that this is not a trivial hardware setup. It takes a lot of time, money, and a very specific type of expertise to get going. Actually, the first time BEC was made in a lab about 25 years ago, it won those researchers the Nobel Prize. Now you can access this hardware and our expertise over the cloud. I want to drive home here, though, that Albert is not a simulator. Working with Albert is actually accessing the hardware in our lab in Boulder. So when you run jobs, when you are setting things up for your BEC, you are actually creating that and manipulating that here right behind Hannah. Now, we wanted to put this on the cloud, not just because that's the cool thing to do these days, but it also addresses some of the more painful barriers of entry to the quantum space. If you don't have to build a system like Albert, you shouldn't have to build a system like Albert. Now, depending on what type of quantum solution peak you're trying to summit, you can consider Albert a chairlift to the top. And whatever peak you're trying to summit, it might look a little bit different depending on your goals. If you are interested in developing quantum inertial sensors for navigation, Albert's going to look like a prototyping platform. If you are a research scientist interested in pushing the bounds of mankind's understanding of quantum mechanics and publishing about it, Albert is going to look like a research lab on the cloud. And most pertinent to our talk here today, Albert is a hands-on tool for quantum education and workforce development. Now, Albert's super simple to use. I joke that it's quantum at the push of a button. I must admit that sometimes it can take up to 4 or 5 mouse clicks to be creating this Nobel Prize-worthy Bose-Einstein condensate. And what you can actually do, how much of the hardware you can access, and what that hardware can do is going to be expanding over the coming months and quarters. We're also developing a suite of educational resources to help give our users a better idea of what they're doing when they're working with Albert, as well as giving them a better picture of what Albert can do for them. Which brings me to why I'm here today, other than just my job entails being excited and evangelizing the world to Albert. Myself and my team are interested in talking to instructors and trainers and management who are looking to enrich their quantum education and quantum literacy in both their classrooms and their internal workforces. We'd also love to talk to any quantum experts and enthusiasts who are interested in co-developing some quantum education modules, as well as industry and academic partners who are already doing the hard work to make quantum and the quantum workforce more accessible, I think, like my co-panelists. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, here's how you can reach out to me and the team, and you can sign up for Albert in our free beta phase today. Thank you.